Well, hi there. Warm welcome. You're watching Decoding Now with me, Meghna Dekha. Did Donald Trump fake his own assassination bid? Did he stage the shooting to spin sympathy and sidestep political heat over the Iran war? Did he turn the White House Correspondents' Dinner at the Washington Hilton into a stage of deceit? Let's get you the next conspiracy, the third conspiracy. Was the shooting staged, many would say, is because the Mentalist that you can see on your screens right behind, remember, he is someone who was the master of the ceremony. He was the chief entertainer at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. He was performing magic tricks. He was performing a card trip right when the shooting started. In fact, in this video, you'll see how the Mentalist flips a card and then looks up. And that is the moment when shots were fired. Agents could be seen swooping in. Conspiracy theorists are saying, was this simply a coincidence, or was it timed to perfection? Was it a signal that the Mentalist was given for shooting? Remember, several of these are the conspiracy theories. However, there is very little indication that the Mentalist and his card flip had anything to do with the shooting. But you can see that moment where this lady on the side, she also looks aghast. You see all of them livid, as well as Melania Trump, all of them looking shocked and aghast the minute the shooting had happened. Trump has a faint smile and he looks to his right and then his left, but the Mentalist had flipped the card. Is there something suspicious about this? Well, the conspiracy theorists are saying there is. Let's get you the next big conspiracy theory that we are getting for you. Now, this was a picture which was put out of Cole Allen. He is the alleged shooter. He had been apprehended immediately, and this was Cole Allen right after he was taken down. That's him on the ground with his hands behind his back, and his clothes seem to be stripped. Well, there is this picture of him that has been doing the rounds on social media, but the question that conspiracy theorists are asking, if this man, Cole Allen, was indeed carrying multiple guns on him, if he had a shotgun as well as a handgun on him, if he was armed to the teeth as has been the indications, then he was deemed to be dangerous and deadly. Why did the security forces not shoot him down? Why was he tackled to the ground and then he was disarmed? These are the questions which are being raised. When you have an armed assailant, an armed shooter amongst you, why did the Secret Service not shoot him dead? As many would say, could have been the first instincts of a security man. We don't know the answer to that. But many have said that this is quite surprising, that Cole Allen was merely taken down, he was tackled to the ground, he was pinned down, but he was not shot at, because there is no trace of blood that we can see in these pictures. And even the police department had said that he was not shot at. So he was merely tackled. So the police, the security forces, the Secret Service, they merely tackled an armed man to the ground, didn't shoot him. The next conspiracy theory, another one which points to the fact, allegedly, that Trump's shooting might have been staged, is the look on FBI Chief Kash Patel's face. Well, this is the video which is doing the rounds on social media, where people are saying this is Kash Patel during the White House Correspondents' Dinner's shooting. You can see his expression on his face. He looks to his right, looks to his left. He remains cool, calm, composed, and collected. Many are saying he looks rather chill. For the FBI chief to have the president, or rather to have a shooting near the president, but he merely sits there, doesn't even jump up onto his feet. He merely looks to his right and looks to his left. Is this indeed the moment of shooting? If this is, then many are saying it's surprising that the FBI chief simply looked around, did not look too perturbed. He seemed to be nonchalant. What does this indicate? Well, we leave it for you, the viewers. But here's the next conspiracy theory, and this one is really in your face. Did Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, let the cat out of the bag? Remember, just before the beginning of the event, she gave an interview to a prominent TV channel, and where she made this prediction, as it appears. And what did she say in this interview? She said, Trump's speech is going to be classic Donald J. Trump. There'll be some shots fired tonight in the room. Look into the words. There will be some shots fired tonight in the room. This is Caroline Leavitt before the shooting actually happened at the Hilton. What does this mean? Did she let the cat out of the bag? We'll let you decide. The next one. Many are saying in this next conspiracy theory that the security at the White House was downgraded. And security at the hotel Hilton was downgraded because how is it even possible that the security of the world's most powerful man gets breached that easily? And that too by a teacher. That too by someone who's not a known person to have any kind of background per se in violence or in armed or any kind of training per se. He is an engineer, a grad from Caltech. He's a teacher. He was a gamer. How did he manage to breach the fortress of Donald J. Trump? Well, the fortress clearly has cracks in it. Let's tell you how. The hotel appeared to be open to all the regular guests, and he went in as a regular guest. Security was focused only on the ballroom zone, which was subterranean and which was being guarded by the Secret Service. There was a lobby and common areas which was made accessible to all the guests of the hotel. There was very limited screening outside the main entrance, is what many of the correspondents came out and said, that there was not even a pat down. So how did Cole breach this ring? Well, the suspect is believed to be one of the guests of the hotel. He allegedly entered through the outer security layer. He managed to bypass the initial access controls, reach near magnetometer zone. That is when he was tackled and pinned to the ground and he was arrested. Now, this is interesting because why was the security downgraded? And let me remind you, it is the ghost of Hilton haunting which is now returned. It is the same Hilton Hotel, the same place where 45 years ago, in 1981, the then US President Ronald Reagan was shot. Well, that's right. It was in this 1981. In fact, this is the video that we are showing for you of Trump and Ronald Reagan. 1981, you had Ronald Reagan shooting, which happened right outside the very same Hilton. There was a bullet which was fired. It ricocheted off his limousine. It actually entered into the chest of Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan managed to live through this after an emergency surgery was operated. In 2026, again, 45 years later, there's another assassination bid on another sitting president. Why does this dinner continue to be held at the same venue if there are perceived security threats? Now, let's also remind you, in 2024, remember, there was another earlier bid, assassination bid on the life of Donald Trump. This was at a rally in Pennsylvania. Donald Trump was shot at. The bullet had grazed close to his ear, and there was blood which was splattered across his clothes. He rose up with a fist, and he said, "Fight and fight." In 2026, amidst the falling ratings over the Iran war, there's another assassination bid which has happened this time on Trump. This time he remains unflinching again. Many are saying, do you see the sympathy that he is likely to gain as he did in 2024, right ahead of the presidential polls where he was making a bid for his second term? He managed to win it right after riding on a big sympathy wave. And will this also mean gains for President Trump in the midterms which are around the corner? Is shooting the secret to Donald Trump's success? Many conspiracy theorists have been asking. When that bullet grazed his ear, what really did it mean for the US presidential elections? Let's explain it to you. Right after the shooting in 2024, Trump's winning odds actually before the shooting was roughly 55 to 60%. After the shooting, it rose up to 71%. The next one we are going to show you is that before the shooting, Trump's favorability was 38%. After the shooting, it went up 2% to 40%. Then, Before the shooting had happened in 2024, Trump's base consolidation, essentially the MAGA base which had happened, the consolidation was strong. But after the shooting, it was high-intensity consolidation of all the votes in his core voter base. Before the shooting, the swing state projection was a toss-up. It could have gone the Republican or the Democrat way. But post the shooting, the leaning was very distinctly Republican. This is how that shooting had helped Trump come on to actually make his mark in the second term. Meanwhile, there's a video which has been posted by the accounts with allegiance to Iran. They have mocked Trump's assassination bid. They are calling it Operation Epic Deception, essentially that he had planned and staged it. Watch Iran's spin. Well, let me go across to our panelists. Tonight, joining us on the show, we have Sierra Claire, foreign policy analyst. Sarah Spector is also joining us, attorney and a Democrat analyst. I'm going to be coming across to you, Sierra Claire. We just saw Iran putting out that post. In that meme that they have put out, they say that this is Operation Epic Deception. Did Trump gain from this?
Well, of course, the Iranian regime would say something like this. They are the masters of media propaganda, first of all. But second of all, they actually have, we have confirmed intelligence that says that they have been targeting President Trump's life back from his first term, and as well as his cabinet members. People like Mike Pompeo had to live with increased security even after he was out of office because it was such a close threat. So of course the Iranian regime would want to put this back on Trump. But when you look at what really happened, there was one conspiracy theory that you mentioned that does actually need to be addressed, and I believe it is being addressed. The White House ordered a review. Susie Wiles, the chief of staff, she ordered a review of the security protocols from the Secret Service because this event was not given the correct security rating. It wasn't given the highest security rating that the Secret Service could give it. It was downgraded, basically. So, I'm glad that they've ordered that review, and I'm glad that they're looking into that and hopefully making changes to keep President Trump safe going forward.
Well, yes, that security is long overdue. Many would say it's 45 years overdue. Sarah Spector, if there was a downgrade in the Washington Hilton, at the same area where Ronald Reagan was also shot at in 1981, why hold it there? Is this the strongest possible pitch for a bulletproof, attack-proof ballroom at the White House?
Not for an event like this. This isn't a White House event. This is supposed to be a neutral event. It's a charity event. So it's not something that would be appropriate at the White House, nor is a ballroom big enough to host an event like this that he's planning. It's really, that is just not a cogent argument. It's like saying when there's a school shooting in America that we should build a ballroom at the school. And it doesn't make any sense. The Secret Service is obviously an elite organization, and they make mistakes. When Obama was in office, somebody, and he wasn't anyone who was intelligent, some mentally ill person got into the White House. He climbed the fence and he got into the White House. And so it just shows the Secret Service, they're human, they make mistakes, they review their mistakes, and they try to do better. But I don't think there's any conspiracy by the Secret Service to do any harm to the president.
In that case, Sierra Claire, there are rumors also doing the round that next in line whose head is going to be on the chopping block is Kash Patel.
It's interesting. I mean, it's coming up. The reason it's coming up is because the alleged shooter wrote in his manifesto that he was targeting everyone in Trump's cabinet except Kash Patel. We don't know why he wrote that. I expect the FBI will come out, and hopefully address that. And this guy was clearly crazy, so I'm not putting a lot of stock in that. But what needs to happen is the FBI needs to look better into all of these assassination attempts on President Trump, as well as what happened to Charlie Kirk. And they need to do a better job of reviewing how these people actually got radicalized. What the FBI has done is they've basically said, we found a motive for the crime and the case is closed. But this needs to be looked at, instead of as individual crimes, it needs to be looked at as a larger pattern. And they need to figure out if this is a RICO case for, basically whatever is happening on the other end, where these people are getting radicalized and indoctrinated. And I'm not trying to say, this is some conspiracy theory that traces back to only one bad guy. But that's why we have legal mechanisms like RICO that can address things that are, that are basically a threat to our country, even if they're happening in different arenas, even if they're not.
But why do you think, Sierra Claire, that Trump has been the target for so many shootings?
I think it's because he doesn't back down. I think it's because he shows leadership, just like he did at that dinner where he, gave up and gave a press conference an hour after it happened. And he said, I'm not going to be deterred, and we're not going to cancel events. And so, the people aren't used to that. People are used to politicians who bend and change their campaign promises if they're facing something uncomfortable, and President Trump doesn't do that.
So because he's making uncomfortable decisions, people seem to be uncomfortable with it, and perhaps hence the murder attempts. Well, we'll have to wait and see what comes out of this probe. Sarah Spector, how does this impact the mood on the ground that there has been another? In the past, we've seen every time there's a shooting, there's also followed by a sympathy wave. Has that happened in America?
No. I think people, unfortunately, I don't think so. People have become numb to, unfortunately, shooting events like this. I know it sounds really bad, but I was here in Midland, Odessa when we had a shooter running around Midland and Odessa, shooting at people in cars and malls and movie theaters, and that was a few weeks after El Paso, where people were gunned down in a Walmart, and I knew people, and I know people who were murdered in Uvalde, and I'm just one person who has had so many connections to shootings in America.
That's disturbing. That's very disturbing if you say that the population on the whole have become immune to such shootings. Well, anyway, so the questions remain. 7 conspiracy theories that we've tried to decode for you. It doesn't appear that there is any mischief in the way all of this happened. It would have happened, but then the questions about the security scare, about why this was allowed to happen in the first place, these are real questions. Perhaps the incident remains, but the questions now are bigger than ever before. Thank you so much, Sierra Claire, as well as Sarah Spector, for joining us here on the show. With that, we're going to be wrapping up. See you again tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. right here on Time Snap.